Okay, my name is Todd Foresman. I've lived here my whole life, which is almost 55 years. And my occupation is I'm presently a business owner.
And, I'm sorry.
Can you tell us about your
Yeah, could you tell us what it is?
Oh, I own a coffee shop here at the Pajama Factory. Basically, it's just like a neighborhood bar, only instead of people getting loaded, they're drinking coffee and remembering all of their conversations. I have been here on this location for 2.5 years, but I've been roasting coffee for close to 5. Mostly because my family's here. I was going to move to Florida once, about probably 20 years ago, but a friend of mine pointed out that, my family was here and Florida was always going to be there, and I could change my mind later, and I stayed. And now I'm here because, well, one, because I started the business, but a couple of years ago my father passed, and I moved in with my mom to help her stay at home because she would like to end her days in her own home. So I actually have 2 full-time jobs. One is the coffee shop, the other is taking care of my mom. Actually, it's pretty close to the same neighborhood. I only live a couple of blocks from here. It's changed quite a bit. When I was a kid, there was the neighbors all knew each other, and grew up with a couple of other guys, and went to same grade school together and all that. So it just a very quiet, just your average neighborhood. Nothing really special about it. Nothing big comes to mind. I guess most of being a kid, where I grew up on the street that I grew up, there was an empty lot down at the end of the street that had trees on it and some field, and we would, we would play Army down there and flashlight tag at night, and then as we got older, we would play wiffle ball and a game we called, it was kind of like sandlot football. We called it rough and tumble. It's really kill the man with the ball. If there wasn't enough guys to actually have a football game, somebody has a ball and they run around and you try to not get tackled. But not too far from here is the Wildwood Cemetery, and across the street from that's a big long hill, and at the bottom of it kind of slopes up. It's known as the Sugar Bowl. And it's a great place for sled riding in the wintertime. So, and the neighbors that live up on the top of the hill would turn on their lights at night, and you could sled ride till about 9 at night. So that was a good thing. Also used to, we have Lycoming Creek, and I mean, at one point, you swam in the public pools, but we also used to swim in the creeks as well. That was just something that you do here. You swim in the creeks, and people own river lots. They swim in the river, So, I don't think you do that in bigger cities. The water's not clean, and people don't do that. So, I guess that's one of the things about a small town like Williamsport. Those are some of the memories that I have from, growing up. Slabtown's one.
Oh, yeah?
Slabtown's one. The other one would be the Reading Bridge over in Newbury. It's an old railroad bridge
That's where it was.
There's no, and at one point it's a little territorial. People in Newbury like to think that they own that. So there was some, neighborhood kind of teenage rivalry thing. You got picked on if you weren't from Newbury. And I living on this side of the bridge. This neighborhood really doesn't have a name. There's East End and Center City and Newbury, and this section in here is there's no name for it. It's not. If you're from East End, they would say that we were from Newbury, but people from Newbury would say you're not from Newbury. You live on the wrong side of the bridge. So it's this area has an identity crisis, or no identity. But yeah, Reading Bridge was you always jumped. The guys lived over there, sort of, kind of partied and hung out, and yeah.
So I jumped off it. It was nuts. It was
Yeah,
fun.
it's nearly impossible to touch bottom. That's a toughie because so many things have changed. Growing up in this neighborhood, I learned how to swim in a memorial pool, and that was shut down for a while, and that kind of felt bad. I also played basketball over on the basketball courts in Memorial Park, and recently the basketball hoops have been taken down, and the mayor's put up something called pickleball, which nobody I know has ever played pickleball or even what it is. I have no idea what it is. So, that kind of changed. And it's not how I feel about Williamsport, but it's like this. That's a childhood thing that I played in the park as well. We used to play football over there, and they put a big walk through the park where we used to play. You call it sandlot, but it was that we played football there. This neighborhood played against Newbury and played against East End, and it was unorganized, but you can't do that now. That's been taken away, along with the basketball courts and some other things. And you still see people over in the park, but I never see anybody on those courts. So, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And it's a controversial thing. You see a lot of 20-year-old guys over there playing basketball in the middle of the day, and you have to wonder why they're not working. But at the same time, it's not. They're in the park in public, and if they're doing anything wrong, there's supposed to be cameras there, so that if they really wanted to keep an eye on them, they could. When I say they, I'm talking about the authorities that say there's so many bad things going on in the park. They supposedly put $1 million worth of cameras up, and I've not seen ever a picture from Memorial Park. So the value, it's someplace to go. So, there's a lot of things also that they don't do. When I was growing up, and I already gave you my age, but when I was growing up, there was, Parks and Recreations had, college kids that would be in the park, and they had activities for the kids. Like, does anybody know what knock hockey is anymore? We played. It was a board with it, and they had these tiny little, and you knocked around a wooden puck, on this little table, and it was, it was kind of like air hockey, only on a smaller scale with a wooden, and organized volleyball and organized all these things. There was crafts and, and I don't. That doesn't exist anymore, and that's one of the things that I think that they could put back into parks as well. Something for people to do. I would really love to see the powers that be in Williamsport change, and be a little more open-minded about things. Williamsport's an old town with old money that's run by old money, and nothing new. They're not open to new ideas and new things. The coffee shop here is in the Pajama Factory, which is about as open-minded as any place you're going to be in Williamsport, and I think all of Williamsport should be like that. You hear about the downtown shops being community and unified and all that stuff, and I don't think it's like that at all. Downtown Williamsport doesn't want anything to do with anything that's not downtown. If you're not a part of that, then you don't get, here everybody supports everybody else. Everybody supports everybody else. I just recently put a website online, and I had the girl Bathurst Soaps has a website. She helped me build my website, and one of the guys that has an IT company helped me with the, helped me do all the online stuff. And it's, another woman that's here is a writer, and she's going to help me write copy for, my mission statement. And just everybody that I've met here just wants to help everybody else, because that's a community thing. If you do better, I do better, and everybody helps everybody, then everybody does better. It's just, and it's not like that in the rest of the town. I'd love to see everybody be about everybody else.
Absolutely.
Everybody's for themselves.
Do you have any suggestions for how we could better integrate things like what's happening here in the downtown? Like what kind of ideas to kind of bring those groups together and maybe foster that wider community support?
No, I don't really. I haven't, I haven't really thought about it before all that much. I mean, there's never any easy answers, and everything good that happens slowly. A Band-Aid doesn't work. There's no Band-Aid for the problem. Not to throw stones at anybody, but we've had the same mayor for how long now, and he's all about himself. Typical government stuff. Everybody has an agenda, and if you're not for that agenda, you're not heard. And that's kind of, so we really need, we need a new system, or at least a new administration. I mean, other than here.
I mean, you can say here.
I do spend, the better part of my time here, but
right.
There's a couple of places in Williamsport that I've, like as a kid, I know this is going to sound strange, but I always like to go up to Wildwood Cemetery. Yeah. Wildwood Cemetery goes way up on top, and there's a couple of spots you can go, and it's like a vista. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really, I don't really know what it's. I think it's been a long time since I've been there. But then there's another place. If you're familiar with Lycoming Creek Road, there's the Wise Market up Lycoming Creek Road. On the other side of that, there's a place that's known as Devil's Caves. There's no real caves. It's just this big, but it's you kind of have to walk along the creek and to get back to it, and it's always been kind of a cool place where everybody kind of goes. And at one point it was a place to go and party and carry on, and there's a swimming hole back there, but that's always been a pretty cool place. But no, I can't think of any one place in particular that I really like to go. Here in the Pajama Factory, I love being in the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. I love that I've opened up, Way Cool Beans Coffee Shop, because and we have there's so many things going on here. The noise in the background is a community kitchen being built as we speak. She just came back from Harrisburg from some equipment that she got at an auction, and so she's in the process of moving that in. And that happens right above me. It's been very loud. A lot of people want to know if it's been annoying, and really it's just the sound of progress. So sometimes it's annoying, but mostly it's progress. And I have to remind myself that that's not an easy thing. But I meet so many people all the time, so many great people. There's a woman that comes every Thursday that brings lunch for people. Like today, she brought 3 giant pizzas that she made at home. It's free. Just if you know she's coming, she comes in around 11:30. She leaves sometime afternoon, but she does it because she wants to, because she likes the coffee shop. It started with her and a bunch of her friends that do homeschooling meet so that their kids can do their Minecraft thing over on the couch area, and the women get together, and so it's a ladies' day out for them. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it started. But like different people come in. Like I have a guy that comes in that's a lawyer that has joined the board here to help with the nonprofit, and that's the kind I see that stuff happen all the time. Like one guy I'll be sitting talking about, he's looking for somebody to help him in his business because he needs help, and there's another guy sitting a couple of feet away that's looking for a job, and he just really wants to work. And that's the kind of stuff that happens all the time. Mm-hmm. So, I really love where I'm at and what I'm doing. I can't take, credit for all of that, but I had a hand in it because I opened the coffee shop. It's my shop, but I love being here at the Pajama Factory too, because everybody here is just really, the best way to describe it is way cool. Everybody here is way cool. Mm-hmm. You can sit out here in the courtyard. There's a garden right across from us that you probably didn't get on camera. Hopefully you will. There's Adirondack chairs out there, so where you can sit out in the sun, and you can sit down with a complete stranger and become friends, because that's just what it's like here. I mean, you guys are doing the interviews, but I'm sure that everybody you've met has been nothing but friendly and receptive and welcoming and warm, and that's what it's like. It should be like that everywhere. It's just how it should be everywhere. I think Williamsport gets a bad rap. You know, there's, you know, because the paper is owned by, you know, who it's owned by, they print what they print. And they're so closed-minded and so one-sided, and everything is so conservative. And yeah, I'd love to see that change. I'd love to see Williamsport's reputation change, because it's got a bad reputation. You know, there's something about heroin in the paper at least once a week. I don't think anybody knows what day 500 and whatever it is of secrecy means. It's on the front page on the top, and it's got a picture of a candle, and it says something about 592 days of secrecy. Nobody has a clue what that even means.
Yeah,
Somebody got hired in City Hall that nobody knew about, and it was supposed to. I don't even know. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's like, that's the kind of stuff that goes on all the time. And like I said, Williamsport's not a bad town. You know, the paper reports nothing but negativity about most of the time. And everything isn't negative everywhere. I'm not afraid when I leave here at night. You know, I'm not afraid to walk down the streets. You know, I mean, it's no different here than it is any place else. People want to talk about what a bad neighborhood this is, but they would go vacation in Atlantic City without a second thought, or Ocean City, or, you know, people, and the crime rate is way worse in a lot of places. But, you know, we get a bad rap. It's a nice town. It's a little behind the time, but that's not such a bad thing. You know, it's slow and comfortable, and people need to take time to breathe. I think people are in too big of a hurry most of the time. You know, so yeah, I'd like to see the reputation be nicer.